In February 1895, Cuban nationalists once again rebelled against their Spanish rulers. In the course of a brutal and bloody civil war, the Spaniards herded Cuban civilians into concentration camps, where at least 100,000 died of starvation, exposure, and dysentery. Back in the United States, newspaper publishers Joseph Pulitzer of New York World and William Randolph Hearst of the Journal fired off blasts of exaggerated, sometimes false, but always sensational stories to create public outrage, increase the sale of their papers, and force Congress to help the Cuban revolutionaries. A wave of sympathy for the Cubans swept across the U.S. People demanded that the American government do something to help. On the evening of February 15th, the American battleship Maine was resting peacefully in Havana Harbor on a courtesy call to the Cubans. Suddenly, an explosion went off, and the Maine sank like a stone, taking at least 260 American sailors and officers down with it. Although there was no evidence to link the Spanish to the explosion, the American public wanted revenge. Calling for Americans to remember the Maine, the American press called for war. On April 11th, President William McKinley asked Congress for the authority to intervene to end the fighting in Cuba.
In the name of humanity, in the name of civilization, in behalf of endangered American interests, which give us the right and the duty to speak and to act, the war in Cuba must stop.
Negotiations with Spain dragged on until April 23rd, when McKinley called for 125,000 volunteers for military service. The next day, Spain issued a formal declaration of war. Earlier, Assistant Secretary of the Navy, Theodore Roosevelt, cabled Commodore George Dewey to sail to Spain's Philippines in the event of war. There, Dewey smashed the Spanish fleet in Manila Bay. Back in the Caribbean, the United States quickly crushed all Spanish resistance. The splendid little war with Spain lasted all of 3 months. When it was over, the United States found itself in possession of an overseas empire, for Congress had also annexed Hawaii and Samoa.